If you are over 60 and you have been eating your vegetables every single day, doing what you were told to do, but you still cannot get rid of that stubborn belly fat, I need you to stop right now and watch this video carefully, because what I am about to share with you is not a new diet. It is not a cleanse, and it is definitely not about eating more vegetables. What I am going to share with you today is something I call the 3-3 vegetable rule. It is a simple, science-based framework that answers two questions most people never think to ask. Which vegetables should I actually be eating if I want to target belly fat specifically? And how should I be eating them to get the maximum fat-burning benefit from every single meal? I am Judy Byington, and on this channel, Aging Strong Together, we are always looking at the real science behind healthy aging. Not trends, not gimmicks, the actual biology of what happens in your body and what you can do about it. And today we are going to talk about something fundamental. Because here is the truth. Most people over 60 are eating vegetables wrong. Not because they are not trying, but because no one ever told them that the type of vegetable, the timing of when you eat it, and the way you cook it makes an enormous difference in whether your body burns fat or stores it. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which 3 categories of vegetables to include in every single day, and you will know 3 specific rules for eating them that can completely change how your metabolism responds. Let's start with the science. I want to start by explaining why belly fat, and specifically the type of fat we call visceral fat, becomes such a serious problem after the age of 60. Visceral fat is not the fat you can pinch on the surface of your skin. Visceral fat is the fat that accumulates deep inside your abdominal cavity, surrounding your liver, your kidneys, your intestines, and your other vital organs. And this type of fat is metabolically active. That means it does not just sit there. It actually releases inflammatory chemicals called cytokines directly into your bloodstream and into your organs. This drives systemic inflammation, contributes to insulin resistance, raises your risk of cardiovascular disease, and has been directly linked to cognitive decline as we age. After the age of 60, 3 things happen in your body that make visceral fat accumulation significantly more likely. First, your hormones shift. In women, the drop in estrogen after menopause redirects fat storage toward the abdomen. In men, declining testosterone produces a similar effect. Second, your resting metabolic rate declines. You burn fewer calories at rest than you did at 40 or 50, even if you are equally active. And third, insulin sensitivity decreases. Your cells become less responsive to insulin's signal, which means more glucose stays in circulation and gets converted to fat, particularly around the abdomen. Now, here is where vegetables come in, and why they are more powerful than most people realize. Certain vegetables contain specific compounds. We call them phytonutrients, that directly interact with the genes responsible for fat metabolism. These compounds can activate fat-burning pathways in your cells, reduce the inflammatory signals that drive visceral fat accumulation, and feed the beneficial bacteria in your gut microbiome that produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids, which improve insulin sensitivity. A landmark study from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health found that higher consumption of specific categories of vegetables, particularly cruciferous vegetables and dark leafy greens, was associated with significantly reduced visceral fat accumulation in adults over the age of 50. But here is the key finding from that research, and it is critical. The association was strongest in people who consumed these vegetables in specific ways, not just any vegetable, eaten any way at any time. That is exactly what the 3-3 rule is designed to address. Let me break it down for you. The first 3 in the 3-3 rule refers to 3 categories of vegetables that you want to include in your daily eating. Not every vegetable is created equal when it comes to fighting visceral fat. Some vegetables are nutritionally dense and genuinely therapeutic for fat metabolism. Others, like iceberg lettuce or cucumber, are mostly water with very little impact on your hormones or your metabolism. So let me tell you exactly which 3 categories matter most and why. The first category is what we call cruciferous vegetables. This family includes broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, bok choy, and kale, among others. And the reason these vegetables are at the top of the list when it comes to belly fat is a compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane is a phytonutrient that is produced when you chew or cut cruciferous vegetables. It activates a genetic pathway in your body known as the NRF2 pathway, sometimes called the master regulator of cellular defense. When this pathway is activated, your body increases its production of antioxidant enzymes, reduces inflammation at the cellular level, and, critically, improves the function of brown adipose tissue, which is the type of fat tissue that actually burns energy rather than storing it. A study published in the journal Diabetes found that sulforaphane improved insulin sensitivity in participants with obesity, and another study in the European Journal of Nutrition linked regular cruciferous vegetable consumption with reduced waist circumference and lower markers of systemic inflammation. For people over 60, this matters enormously because chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the primary drivers of visceral fat accumulation in our age group. How much do you need? Research suggests that approximately 1 cup of cruciferous vegetables per day is sufficient to produce measurable phytonutrient effects. That could be a cup of roasted broccoli with dinner, a handful of Brussels sprouts at lunch, or even some raw cauliflower with a dip in the afternoon. The key is consistency, every single day, not just occasionally. And I want to share something with you before we move on. I have a patient, I will call her Margaret. She came to see me at 67 years old, frustrated after years of trying to lose weight. She was already eating what she thought was a healthy diet, but she was eating the same 2 vegetables, green beans and iceberg lettuce, week after week. I asked her to make one change. Add 1 cup of cruciferous vegetables every single day. Broccoli 3 days a week, Brussels sprouts 2 days, cauliflower the other 2. That was it. No other changes to start. 8 weeks later, she had lost 2 inches from her waist. Her inflammation markers had dropped, and she told me she had more energy than she had felt in years. That is the power of choosing the right vegetable. The second vegetable category is dark leafy greens. I am talking about spinach, kale, Swiss chard, arugula, collard greens, beet greens, and similar vegetables.